a
look
good
like
sign.
I'm hairless.
No, you don't. Okay.
Wait, we didn't check these.
Go ahead.
Do we need to? Hello, welcome to Generation In Between.
Yeah, good. And also, this is how we know too, because it's right there.
What?
Like we can. Do you see the little
Oh,
lines?
the green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. Are we ready for the
Okay.
intro?
Oh, yeah. Wow, we're
doing
really
good.
out of it.
Gotta get back
Okay.
in.
All
Gotta
right.
get back in.
Okay.
Okay, let me tilt this down.
And
a
you're
little. There we
starting?
go. Yeah,
You're
I'll
starting.
start. Did you celebrate the 25th anniversary of Y2K by watching other people party on TV while you sipped your drink in your PJs under your weighted blanket?
Is your New Year's resolution to not throw your back out while sleeping or to be sure to get to bed before 10 p.m. each night?
If you think that songs that debuted in 2010 are new ones, you might be a Xennial, and we are too. Hi, I'm Katie.
And I'm Dani, and welcome to Generation In Between, a Xennial podcast where we remember, we revisit, and sometimes we relearn all kinds of things from our 80s childhoods and 90s teen and young adulthoods. And welcome also to 2025.
Yay!
Woo!
Happy New Year!
Woo!
Yeah.
I keep hitting my microphone.
Dani is getting beat
Lord.
up. I don't know. Are we on an angle?
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. But
I don't
anyway,
know.
she's okay, everyone.
fine.
If
It's
you're
okay.
watching on YouTube, you can see that she's okay.
I
But
am.
listeners, I promise, she's just fine. And yes, in case you haven't guessed, this is our first recording in a while. This is our first recording of 2025. Do you remember when like 2025 was like really far away?
Yeah, you know what? Is funny. Cooper told me the other day that like he was looking up some random facts and he's like, "Oh, today is George Jetson's birthday." Like if he was born or something like that. So
what?
Listen. Rewind. Stay with me, everybody. This makes no sense.
Okay.
The cartoon The Jetsons took place in the future, correct?
Right.
So it was like if George Jetson had a real birthday, it would have been on whatever day.
Oh, got it. That would have been the day he was born.
Right.
Okay.
So like we're now in Jetson's time.
Oh man. He might like be an infant, but we're still here.
Weird.
That's really weird.
Okay, now that made sense.
Now that made sense. Actually, I think it made sense the first time, but it just took me a second. So I remember when my kids were in preschool, I don't have like a lot of great ideas surrounding like traditions and memorable things. We've gone over this on the show before, but for some reason when they were in VPK, I had this great idea to have them all hold a sign because they had a little preschool graduation when they were 4, just had turned 5. It said class of whatever the future year. So I have all my kids holding like class of 2025, class of 2026. And it just was like so funny at the time.
I know, because it seems so far away.
It's like this little tiny child holding this very, very future date. But now I'm like, well, I guess I got to bring those back out because these kids are about to graduate in these actual years that are on those things. So, but we are here and we are in 2025. And we decided for today, we were just going to kind of talk about that, talk about some New Year's stuff, talk about what's going on the podcast, talk about our own goals and what we've been discussing with each other and just our own internal reflections and looking ahead.
And for those of y'all who were hoping we would have some research on ET fingers or something like that, we do not today. For those of you who like it when we just show up and willy-nilly convo, that's what's happening.
That's today. Although I will say, I think we'll have some tidbits of maybe some inspirational stuff or some things that you could like, I don't know, glean.
I was gonna George Jetson's birthday.
I was gonna say cling to, and then I was gonna say glean. So I was about to say gling. There's some things you could gling from today. But none of
watching too much of Wicked.
Too much Wicked. That is
ridiculousness.
Gling. Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay. I have a little note here that I was going to ask you.
Am I supposed to still be looking at? Katie wrote up this little brief
I have a little.
It's
a very, very little. No, you don't need to. The first thing I had on here was just us talking about like what's been going on.
Oh well, so let's talk about the Christmas break.
Yeah.
Did you do anything fun?
Honestly, I didn't like go anywhere or anything like that, but it was a really nice break.
Good.
Yeah. We did have family in town over Thanksgiving. So by Christmas, it was a little quieter, which was nice. Yeah. We could just enjoy being home. And I got a lot of stuff done and ended up ended up being a little busier than I anticipated, listeners, because I bought a business literally right before Christmas.
That's right. Another job, everyone. Another job she can't stop.
I would say same job, another location.
That's
added
another
to the
job. That counts.
Yes. So I have a small performing arts studio. I bought a second smallish performing arts studio. So maybe two small together make a medium.
Nope.
No. Two separate things, separate staff, separate locations. But so I ended up spending a lot of the time kind of updating student records and getting teachers onboarded and stuff like that, which I was actually saying to my husband, I enjoy doing. Like, I'm not a big, like, filling out forms kind of person, but I was enjoying putting the puzzle pieces together.
But that's probably because it's for something you're excited about.
Yeah.
It's not like just some like boring, like, I got to get my household organized. Like, that's not fun. That's a task. But this is exciting because it's like your business that you just started growing not that long ago. Hello.
Yeah. And then obviously we've been working on some ways to get the podcast growing. We've got some fun things coming. We're going to PodFest. That's what it's called, right?
Next weekend.
Oh yeah, next weekend.
I know.
That's so
we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we will. So that was the main thing I did. My kids, the day itself, Christmas itself, was just so nice.
Yeah, like, we had a nice Christmas day.
It was really great.
We didn't have family. Well, we had lots of family visiting during the run of Christmas Story. We had people in and out. And then we made it to the end of Christmas Story. And then I did another event the weekend after. So I really didn't see my family to spend quality time with them until Christmas Eve. We had Christmas Eve and we had Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And then the day after Christmas, we were getting ready for more house guests.
Yes.
Which is lovely. But it's a lot, you know, just having people in your house. And, you know, I'm still cooking and cleaning and trying to figure out what we're doing during the day. And so it was a lot. But it was fun. We enjoyed our time with our people, but I'm ready to get back into the swing of life, if that makes sense.
That's how I felt too.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
We didn't have too much downtime, honestly. We didn't. And I think next year we may do something totally different for the holidays.
Yeah.
If you're my family members listening, I don't know what that is yet, so please don't ask me any questions.
You're like, wait, what did you mean?
Don't freak out. We don't know yet, but like, I think we might do something a little different because my kids are older. Caden's going to be away at college and home. And so I don't know what I think we're just going to try something a little different so we still don't feel exhausted when it's all over. Like, we still feel tired.
Yeah. Oh, no, I get that. I totally get that.
Also, guys, it's freezing here right now. We live in Florida. If you're watching us, today is not a glamorous day. Usually we're not glamorous. Today's even worse. I had a training client this morning and this is what I wore. It's a shirt that says Indoorsy because, and there's a little funny joke behind it. Usually I work outside with this client and if it is below 50 and we are doing strength training, it is not safe to do strength training outside when it's really cold. So I was like, we have to work out inside today. And so I had to wear this sweatshirt. But also I don't want to go outside when it's cold. Katie's over here in short sleeves, guys. She's from Indiana. So
I am. I will say most of the day I've had like a blanket wrapped around me. I didn't bring one in here though. And then I was like, well, I really wanted to wear my I said I had to wear my Dr. Pepper shirt. So then Dani like gets this look of panic. She's like, why? Like almost like, are we talking about Dr. Pepper today? Like what's going on?
Did I miss some research? I thought we were just jabbing today.
But I was like, no, I just got it for Christmas. So I wanted to wear it.
It's cute. It's fun.
There we go. And anyhow, it was just kind of funny when we were both walking, but it is cold.
It's freezing and it's windy. I had a hat on and I took it off because for our YouTube filming, it was like making this weird shadow on my face. But now I'm looking at myself in this camera and I should have left the hat on.
Yes.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
You're
I think you look great.
Be listening to us anyways, everyone.
Correct. Even if like we're on in the background and you can see us. It's about the sound.
Pretend that we are showered and made up.
I did go in my hot tub this morning, which was a great idea going in. Not so fun getting out.
Miserable getting out in the cold.
Oh my gosh. I had to like emotionally prepare myself. Like the jets went off because that's like, okay, that's my timer. Time to get out. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And eventually, you know, in is it just regular National Lampoon's Vacation when he goes to jump in the pool and he's like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm like in the hot tub saying that to myself.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
Well, it's not because it's cold. It's because he's jumping in it with a woman.
Very true.
So you weren't doing that.
No, I wasn't. And you know how you have these like weird intrusive thoughts. So I get out, I'm freezing. And for a split second, I'm like, I should just jump in the pool. I did not. My pool, first of all, my pool is not heated.
Polar plunge.
And then I was like, why did I think that? I need
intrusive
to go inside.
Thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts.
Sometimes they win, but
and
not today.
And my doodle would have just jumped in right behind me, which we've been trying to keep him out of the pool because it's so cold. We don't want him out there because like when he's wet, we leave him outside.
Yeah. But
it's so cold. Yeah. I don't want him outside and wet. So I was no.
All the Midwestern people right now are like rolling their eyes at us.
When you said below 50 is not safe when it's that cold, you guys, to work out.
To do strength training.
I agree.
To do cardio is fine because your heart rate goes up, so your body temp raises.
Sure.
But when you're doing strength training, your heart rate is usually not elevating to keep you warm.
Correct.
So you can do it. I don't feel comfortable doing strength training stuff with people when it's below 50. Yeah. I just don't.
I feel that.
I just don't. And don't come at me, guys, and tell me blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. I'm not doing it. So, and also, I don't like cold.
There you go. And that's okay.
But I still have some friends in Missouri where we used to live when we were stationed there. And they had all these pictures of snow, and my DC friends. And guys, I don't miss that shit at all.
Yeah, a friend of mine who lives in Evansville, Indiana, she has this gorgeous backyard, and she sent me a picture, and it's just white.
Ugh.
Like steps, and I mean, it was a beautiful picture.
Oh, it's pretty until you have to live.
But I was like, oh.
It's pretty until you have to realize you have to leave the house, and you have to shovel your driveway and steps and salt, and then the roads. People don't know how to drive, and it's just miserable.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we don't have to worry about that here, even when it's really, really cold. We don't have to worry about the snow or anything, although my kids would love if it did snow, but it won't.
Did you get any other fun Christmas presents besides your Dr. Pepper shirt?
I don't think so. I got like some smaller stuff, but gosh, I hope I'm not forgetting anything big. I didn't really get a whole lot. For Christmas.
Me either. We don't. Troy and I don't do presents, and like my sister and I decided we want to do presents.
Oh, I got a new coffee maker for my house.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Adulting.
Amelia got it for me, and my old one didn't have a programmable thing. Okay. So you can program the time.
Okay.
On this one. So first of all, it's a Hamilton Beach coffee maker. So we all had jokes about that. We're like, it's Alexander Hamilton.
Oh,
Beach,
I was like, I don't get it.
The coffee maker. So he was like dumb.
I don't get it.
We've just been making up all these like Hamilton songs about the
Your
coffee maker.
Your house is way more fun than mine. Like people just go to their own corners in my house and just, but I guess we can. You can't hide from each other in your house. So you have to interact.
No, we cannot.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, it's not hard to program it, but the screen is very small and it doesn't light up. So it's like hard to see.
So you need readers.
So I was having my daughter Amelia do it for me because she gave me the gift. So I was like, okay, you're going to program it for me. It's Christmas break. So she's been doing it. So the other day I'm I'm going to do it myself. It's nighttime. So I'm getting ready for it's like 6 p.m. I'm like, okay, I'm going to set it for 7 a.m. or whatever. It was like a Saturday. I didn't have to be up super early.
You get up at 7 o'clock on Saturday?
Well, but see, you can start the coffee but not get up.
Oh, okay.
But just in case. It might have been Sunday because I think I had a few things to do before our rehearsal Sunday. But whatever day it was, I'm like, okay, I'll set it for 7, whatever. An hour later, I come back. There's a full pot of coffee.
At night?
I set it for 7 p.m. And I'm like, who turned on my coffee maker? And everyone's like, not me. And I was like, I was like, I set it for 7.
So what happened?
So then I'm like, okay, I must not have paid attention to AM PM. And Amelia's like, do you need me to do it? I'm like, no, I have to learn. So last night I go to do it again and I'm like, okay, like whatever. Yeah. I look, it says 7 a.m. Again, it's like 5:30 or 6. Like an hour later, Tegan goes, Mom, your coffee pot's brewing again.
Up, Katie.
I was like, shut up. So I go over. So the clock is wrong.
Oh.
So I think I'm setting it for 7 a.m. but it thinks so. But it was just so
she had
funny.
all this wasted coffee.
So I did save it and made like iced coffee.
coffee.
But with this weather being so cold, I'm not going to drink iced coffee when I wake up.
There's some nasty ass old coffee in your fridge.
Eventually, I am going to figure out this Sir Alexander Hamilton Beach coffee maker of mine.
This is why, like, I have so many friends who have like hella fancy like coffee pots and shit. We have like a basic ass $20 Mr. Coffee pot because I don't want to do all that. I just want to make the coffee. We used to have a Keurig and then we got rid of that because mold grows in the things.
We got rid of ours too.
So like when I found that, I wanted to throw up, and I will never use a Keurig anywhere because I freak out about it. I had coffee at my hairstylist the other day, and she told me it was Keurig, and I about died. But too late. I drank it because I want to be mean. Yeah. I'm still here. It's okay.
I'm still here.
We have a basic Mr. Coffee. Did you watch any fun things? So you had some downtime. So
I did. So I've been watching this show Tracker.
You still haven't watched Dr. Odyssey?
No. And I think this is why. Because I'm kind of just like saving it. It never feels like the right time.
I haven't been watching it.
I'm
again,
I really want to enjoy it.
Oh,
but then I'll like turn on Tracker in the background. And the premise of Tracker, it's like your basic network hour-long show of like this guy, Justin Hartley, who was on This Is Us. For those who watch that show, guy. So like, tall, good looking, athletic guy. And he's a loner and he's a rewardist. So he travels around the country trying to find people for rewards. So he like gleans the internet.
A bounty hunter?
Kind of, but he's finding like missing people.
Oh, see, that's like true crime shit.
Yes. But that's like his whole job and he's good at it. So like he will go and like there's a $10,000 reward for someone's like daughter who's missing. So then he'll like, the police never find them, but this Tracker guy always finds him. And he finds himself in all sorts of shenanigans. But he's like a nice guy, and then he's got this kind of dark backstory that you learn episode by episode. And it's an interesting show.
Okay, so you've been watching Tracker.
The scenery of it's really good because a lot of it's in the Pacific Northwest. So he'll be in like Oregon or Washington or like mountainous parts of California. So like that part is kind of nice. You can kind of just like turn it on. And
also he's nice looking.
He's good looking. My husband was like, oh, I know why you watch it. And I said, honestly, like, it's not that he's not good looking. It's almost that he's like too good looking.
I know. He's like one of those pretend people.
He's like a cookie cutter.
Like you can't be that good looking.
I'm like not attracted to him, but I'm like, yes, I like to watch you in this show. Like not in an objectification way. It's just easy to watch.
You know who else is like that? Is Anthony that is on Queer Eye.
Oh yeah.
Right. Even my husband said he's just one of those like really beautiful people.
Yes.
That you just
That's how I feel about Justin Hartley.
Yeah, like I'm like that.
He's not like a celebrity crush. It's just like, yes, he is objectively very good looking.
He is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch it though because I hate true crime.
And some of it's not crime,
but
some of it's like runaway stuff.
That's not my kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's like true crime light, in my opinion. But it's very good. So I've been watching that, but I do need to watch Dr. Odyssey.
Well, let me tell you that there is a movie y'all need to watch if you have ever been a stay-at-home mom that had a spouse who traveled a lot. There's a book out there called Night Bitch, and just the title of it is glorious. And
I love that.
Completely forgot the name of the author, but they made a movie about it not too long ago. Amy Adams is the star. She does not have a name. She's just called, I think it's just mom, or maybe it's mother. I don't remember, and you never know the name of her kid either. It's just like baby or son or whatever. But it's so good. It's really weird. But basically this lady, she left her job as an artist. She owned a gallery and all this stuff to stay home with their kid. And she's miserable. She doesn't regret it. She doesn't hate being a mom, but like, it's just that whole juxtaposition that all women go through of, I'm not doing the right thing no matter what I'm doing, like whether I'm home or working or like
or both or
and the guilt, the mom guilt.
Yeah.
And her husband's gone all the time. So she's single parenting without being a single parent, which is a weird dynamic because then when they come back, you have to figure out the balance and it's just weird. It's just a whole weird thing. But she starts to think she's turning into a dog at night.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. I won't say anything else about it because you don't know if she really is or if she's just kind of losing her mind.
You don't know if she's really turning into a dog? What?
I know, guys. I love weird stuff. Katie loves true crime. I like weird stuff. But the book was so good. Okay, so I read this when it came out a few years back, and then I read it again with my book club here, and everybody hated the book. They were like, this was weird and terrible. And I'm like, hello, I loved it. And I think I loved it because I could relate to it so much. I've never turned into a dog, and I also hate dogs.
I was going to say.
But the feelings and thoughts she expresses about the just motherhood in general and the feelings you go through where you're just so exhausted and you're so tired and you're miserable, but also you're so grateful and you're you know, like all of that. She does a great job expressing that, especially when you have a partner who travels and is in and out. So they're there sometimes, but then they're not really. Now I will say the dad in the movie is a huge asshole. My husband is not that way. So if y'all are watching that, they're like, damn, Troy's it. No, he was not that way. But it is a hard balance for them too. Because if you're gone and then you come back, you can't just come back and jump right in because you don't know how the fuck things work.
Yeah.
So it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah. But like mom or whatever spouse is home wants the help. So there's probably resentment there. But then it's also like,
but it's like they don't know where stuff is or how it works. And then the kid doesn't want the dad and the kid wants you because you're there. And it's just like, and I love that they let Amy Adams look like a real person.
I love that too.
Like she's heavier than you've seen her before in other roles.
Sure.
But she looks like a normal mom
like
walking
normal
around.
Yeah.
And you see her stomach, you see like her body. I appreciated that they had a sex scene and they didn't show any of her parts.
I love that.
Because a woman directed and produced it. So just saying you can still have sex scenes and not have to blatantly display all the bits and pieces.
That just made me think of something I saw that I was going to ask you about. If you've heard of this thing, an intimacy coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
I had just started reading about that. So like listener, explain that for listeners.
So what an intimacy coordinator is, now they have these on movie sets and TV shows, but they also have these in live theater now too. I was actually talking with Devin about that because she had one in Bat Boy, I guess.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's for those of y'all that don't know, Devin was one of our co-stars in Christmas Story. And she's a professional performer. Like that's her job. And anyway, what an intimacy coordinator does is it's their job to respectfully kind of choreograph intimate scenes. And they're there to make sure both parties feel comfortable and that it's done in a way that respects each person and what they are okay with and what they're not okay with. This didn't used to be a very prevalent thing.
Right. That's what I was reading.
And that's why they have them now, is because, especially for the women, unfortunately, there would be really gross things that would happen and very uncomfortable moments. And so now it's pretty common to have intimacy coordinators on pretty much all sets that have intimate scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's weird. It's like such an obvious thing, but something I'd never really thought about.
Well, you know why I think that now it's more prevalent is because now we have more women directing and producing and in bigger roles where it had just been men before. And no shade, men, but here is some.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You can't, like, the thing I read about it basically said everything you just said, but also said like, you know, women or men or whoever were in the scenes were just expected to take the stage direction as written, which for most things in a movie like makes sense, I suppose. But if there's any of physical touch, well, you figure there's like for fight scenes and stuff, there's always been coordinators for that.
Correct.
For safety and personal space and all that stuff.
And same thing applies, especially for when you're a lot of times you are nude. You have like those I forgot what they're called. They have a special name that they wear during intimate scenes. They're not like underwear, but they're like, there's a name for them.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know all this.
I said, I don't know what they're called.
I know a whole lot about intimate scenes and filmmaking.
I was like, I'm going to tell you something. You're like, I know everything. And I was like,
why.
Okay.
I think, you know why I think it is? I think I watched a documentary one time about females in the industry. And I think they went into great detail because they interviewed someone.
Okay.
About that. but now, of course, it's leaving me completely. But anyways, so long story short, it's a great movie.
Watch the movie, read the book.
The book is better, but that's always. The movie's a tad different. I don't like the way they made the ending in the movie. I don't like it. They changed the whole feel of the end. Oh. And now Troy watched it with me and he actually liked it. He said, I can totally see why you really connected with this. And he's like, but I think it was really good.
Oh, awesome.
He liked it. Good. But Troy likes weird too. So
yeah. So it worked out.
Sometimes though, like we'll watch something really weird. Like we watched Saltburn.
I never did watch that. I've heard.
And he turned to me 20 minutes in and goes, what the fuck are we watching? And then I was like, oh my God. Like I know people out there, like my sister loved it. And I texted her. I was like, I have no words. Like it was just too much for me. It was too much. And the acting was phenomenal. The actors were great. The story was great, but
it was a lot. Yeah.
It was, for those of y'all who've seen it, it was the graveyard scene for me. It wasn't even the bathtub scene, which was really gross too. But the graveyard scene, I was like, I can't. If you ever decide to watch it, just know that was the moment.
I'll be ready. That'll be the moment. Awesome.
All right. Anyway,
okay. So I know one of the things we wanted to talk about kind of were like goals, words of the year, etc. But before we did that, I was going to ask you, and I've been thinking about it myself for an answer, but Huff, you go first if you want.
Okay.
What's something like, I feel like a lot of times, especially in our culture, right? Like this idea of resolutions and new year, new me, and change all these things. And I know you and I both don't necessarily come from that frame of mind. We look at it a little differently, but I would like to know something from 2024, specific to 2024, if you have it, something about you or personal growth or something that you actually really like that you want to make sure you're taking forward into 2025.
Okay, sure.
And listeners, think about yours too.
I mean,
I'd be interested.
Spot. But this actually is pretty easy because this just happened.
Yes.
And it was something that happened throughout 2024 that now I'm seeing the results of, if that makes sense. And if you're my friend or you follow me on social media, then you already know the answer to this. But I think the biggest thing that happened for me in 2024 was finally getting to the point where I could get out of my own head with performing stuff and just kind of accepting that I don't have to be as good as anybody else. I just have to be as good as myself. Does that make sense?
It does.
And I really want to make sure, like I went on my first audition of the year, just when was that? 2 days ago, right?
2 days ago, yeah.
And that was the first time. Now, I didn't have some like blow them out the water vocal audition or like 600 pirouettes in my dance audition. Like I didn't have one of those like that, but I felt I had a good time, which Katie's always like, because I hate auditions, everyone. And Katie's like, I enjoy them. And I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Like they're terrible.
I mean, I am, but not for that reason.
I mean,
but yeah,
she's not. But like I just always was so mind blown. And then I remember leaving a couple nights ago, and I was like, I get it. Like because when you stop standing in your own way, you can just have fun, and it's okay. Like you're not going to book every role. You're not going to, and nobody expects perfection when you go into an audition. I think I've finally realized that. And I think maybe it just took auditioning repeatedly again in my life at this stage in my life to be able to understand that.
Yeah. And what I always say about auditions too, and usually I follow this, I can think of like one in recent memory where I didn't leave feeling like happy or whatever, but like I always say an audition is a performance someone already said yes to.
Yeah.
So like I'm allowed to be in this space. Right. I was invited, not saying that they like said, Katie, come audition, but like when I said I would like to come audition, they said, sure, this is when you're coming and you're going to sing a song and you're going to do a dance and maybe you're going to read a scene. And so that I've already been told yes.
Right.
And that's it. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
And then if a week later they call me and they're like, yeah, we really liked what you did and there's a part for you. Great. But nothing takes away from the preparation and that moment that I had to shine at the audition.
Yeah.
And you can have fun doing that.
Yeah. And I think too, like, and to be quite honest, I didn't feel like that was like some amazing vocals I did or some amazing dancing, but I do feel like I was able to show who I was as a performer, if that makes sense.
Yes.
because here's a funny tidbit that I forget that people don't know, but you've seen me audition for something, so you know I do this every time. And it's so dumb, but I have to do it. So in vocal auditions, you're just supposed to go in there and sing, but I always have to add in movement because I just have to. I came out after and I was talking to my friend Jen, and I said something about, oh, I did a kick. And she went, wait, you did kicks?
She's like, that was not the dance
and I was like,
audition.
Yeah, I always, but like, because that's just who I am. Like my favorite, Katie knows, is auditioning for like silly shows where I can do those kind of things. And it's 100% appropriate, even though I do them when it's not.
She does it when it's 100% not appropriate, but it's nice when it works out. It's nice when it works out. Yes.
But anyway, I think now, so that to me is huge for me. And Katie knows, and I've talked about it on here. I have horrible self-confidence problems, but I think I'm now getting to the point of realizing your self-confidence, and I'll just talk about it from a performing standpoint because it's different in every area of life. Doesn't have to be, oh, I know I'm a good singer, I know I'm a good dancer. I think your confidence can come from, I let myself shine through whatever I was doing. So that doesn't always mean being the best vocalist, because hello, I've booked roles where I wasn't the best vocalist or the best dancer. And I don't know why I booked it. Who knows? Casting doesn't make sense sometimes. It just is what it is.
Well, and I think saying the best this or the best that is also very subjective.
Oh, well, true.
So like
100%.
Like I think what you mean is maybe technique wise.
Yes, that is what I mean.
But that doesn't mean that you're not good at those things in the way that they needed. And it also depends what show it is.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, you know, like Christmas Story, like the way that you sing and act was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Could you have done the same thing for like Sound of Music and played Maria? No. But like, could any of us? Not many of us, but like,
we know a handful.
A handful of
Katie
people
could, but no, not me.
but like,
yeah.
So just like, not to take away from what you're saying, but just to say, like, it's not that you're not good. It's just this sort of like narrow way that you view that specific technique is what you're talking about.
Yes.
But then you're also saying, and this is where maybe you're saying the growth through 2024 that you're now really stepping into, is that it doesn't mean I'm not good.
Right.
It's just a different way of bringing myself to these things.
Yeah. And I think too, I'm not supposed to, like, for instance, the other night, I went right before to perform friends of ours, Gina and Juliet. Literally, it was me, then Juliet, then Gina.
Oh,
okay. For y'all that don't know, they can blow the house down with their vocals. Okay. Just know this. Before, if this would have been me 4 or 5 auditions back, I would have panicked. I would have gone home and constantly been in my head, like, but I didn't, because I was like, I'm not supposed to be them. In no land or universe am I them. Can my vocals compete with theirs? And I don't have to. Like, that's not why I'm here. We are not trying to be in the same part, right?
Yes.
So I was like, I think that was a big deal for me, is just knowing, show up, give them what you got.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. And that's all you're really expected to do. That's what auditions are for, is so they see what you bring to the table. Now, granted, it is a competition because you're against all these other people, but not in the way that I think I had been putting it in categories in my brain, if that makes sense. So anyway, moving forward, and I came home and like was rehashing to Troy, and he was like, surprised, and he's like, wow, it sounds like it went really good. And it wasn't like I was like, I had the best audition ever because I like did this note and like did this turn. And I mean, granted, I did feel really confident that I kept up in the dance audition. I hadn't been able to do that before. I kept up. It wasn't perfect, but I kept up, which is at 44, like, we take that win.
Yeah, we'll take it.
And then a young girl who was fantastic, she was like one of the young professionals from Orlando. We were leaving, we were talking to somebody else, and I don't remember what happened. And she looked at me and she's like, I meant to tell you, you look like you could be a Rockette. Now, I don't care if she was blowing smoke up my ass. I'm going to take that. And I don't know what she meant. I don't care. Thank you.
You're about 5 inches, 6 inches too short.
Guys, I look nothing like a Rockette.
Listeners, if you've never seen Dani,
I am 5'2", and not built like a dancer.
I wonder what she meant by that.
I don't care.
Did she see the kicks in your vocal audition?
Well, we
Was
did
that
a fan kick. We did a fan
Maybe
kick.
that's
Maybe
what
it
she
was
meant.
my face. Maybe because I'm very expressive when I'm dancing.
Maybe.
I don't know. Who cares?
Who
I
cares?
didn't ask.
We love
I
us
didn't
the
ask.
Rockettes.
I just said, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in my little pocket. I don't even care if you're lying. So
doesn't matter.
Anyway, what about
but
you?
Also, why would she lie?
So I hope I can take that into
I love that.
this year of auditions.
I love that.
What about you?
Mine kind of feed into like the word that we're going to talk about, but I would say mine is, I know it's like, oh, I just bought another business, but but more of learning the trade-off for that stuff, the trade-off for time. Like I'm getting better at that. Where like if you say yes to this thing, then you can't also keep doing all the same things you're doing, especially if your schedule's already packed.
Yeah.
So I'd gotten better even last year, like at being like, okay, wait, before I say yes to this thing, where do I have time for it?
Right.
Do I have time for my kids? Do I whatever? To the point that like I told you, I'm like, I'm not auditioning at least for 5 or 6 months for anything.
Which I think is smart. You have a lot happening, Katie.
I do. It's hard though, because it's like the reason I do the things I do is because I'm a performer.
But and but it's not. You're not making like you say that, but it's not, because it's not like you're making a business so you can perform. Right. You're making a business so you can train other performers because you love performing.
Correct.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes your own performing has to just look differently for a little while because you want to build up this thing that you really enjoy doing and that people are wanting.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm getting better at being able to, I think too, and we've talked about this on the show before, and you and I have talked about this. I went so long without performing that I get nervous when anytime I put it on the back burner, because I got back into it. So now we're going on 6 years, 2019, and was just like, oh my God, I can't believe like all this, like, obviously life happens and I don't regret any of it, but like my career took precedence. Obviously having children took precedence, like all these things that I just never want like a year to go by and be like, wow, I didn't perform in a single thing. Cause that's just like, time is finite. And like I don't want that. So just continuing to find that balance. Like you just said, like, I didn't say indefinitely I'm not auditioning and doing anything. I said, look, my birthday's in May. My son's graduating in May. I'm not trying out for anything until after that.
Yeah.
And let's see where we are. And that's that, but also like the business side.
Yeah.
And I keep telling myself, like, if I get an itch and I really need to perform, I do own 2 performing art studios now. I can literally just be like, we're having a cabaret night and I'm singing a solo.
Correct.
Come watch me, people. Like,
Tra-la.
And somebody would show up, you know?
I'll be there.
So Dani will be there. So I think just kind of continuing to develop that. And then that concept of like, yes, you want to include all the important things in the time you have, but they can't all be at once.
Yeah, I used to be like really bad about saying yes to everything when my kids were small and Troy was in the military. And I loved to organize events. So anytime somebody would say, we need somebody to host a baby shower for a squadron, I would say yes. Oh, we need somebody to volunteer to do something in school. Because I was a stay-at-home mom, right? And I did not enjoy that. So I needed something to occupy my time other than children. So I would say yes to 60, 100 things. It's not the same as a job. But
I know what you mean, though.
But
you were
when I was doing
time.
that, and then I was like stressed all the time. Somebody said to me, Dani, when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to at least one other thing.
At least one.
So you need to really think about that. And I don't know why I never thought about that. It's so simple. Like, hello, of course. But it's true because you do. You know, when you say yes to another business or another student or another class, you are saying no to some more time with your family, right? But that's important because you're establishing a business.
Right.
But if you also said yes to a business and then you're going to audition for 3 more shows,
right,
then when would you see the family?
Exactly. And that honestly is the big thing right now, that it's family, like knowing my son's graduating,
right.
Just the time away from them I had in the last show that I did. I had some trouble. I struggled.
It was a lot.
I was like, I'm not enjoying this much time away from my family.
And
as much as I'm enjoying performing, this is too much time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do it again for a while.
Yeah. I get it.
And I think that's okay.
It's a big commitment.
So that's what I'm going to take forward.
I really like that.
So I know when we've talked before and you brought up this idea to me, and I know, again, if you follow Dani on social, you've seen her post about this stuff, coming up with a word or a phrase for the year. And so I think we've each kind of come up with a word for ourselves, but then we also came up with a word for our podcast.
Yes.
So do we want to start with that one? And do you want to talk about the concept of this, which is pretty explanatory, what I just said? But could you follow up?
You pick a word.
Yes. You go to our website, you click store. It doesn't say merch. Oh, sorry, everyone.
So a focus word. I don't know. Somebody told me about this years ago that I'm not a big, Katie's a big journaler. She's a writer, right? Like, but that's just who she is. I'm not, I like to write, but I'm not a writer, if that makes sense. And so journaling is big for her, and a lot of people, resolutions is their thing.
Yeah.
It's too much for me. I don't like to do resolutions. I don't like to sit down and make some huge, ginormous goal list because it overwhelms me. It's too much.
Right.
So somebody said to me one time that they just picked one word, and that would be the word. And it was like an all-encompassing word. So it was one they could use in different areas of their life. Because a lot of times your goals can be specific, like, for your business or maybe your health or whatever.
Sure.
But this one is supposed to be one that encompasses lots of different categories, if that makes sense. So that is the concept of having one word for your year. Kind of like it's like your guiding light as you go about your life.
Yeah. And in the journaling world, we would call that kind of like your why.
Oh,
like when you're having a bad day, that word or phrase or whatever is like the reminder of like why you're doing all the things that surround it. And if you're doing things that don't surround it, like maybe it's not what you should be doing. Not that you can't like change course throughout the year. It's not like that's the only time you can change your mind.
Right.
But kind of like your intention of what you want. So we were talking about it for the podcast. It may seem a little obvious, but we came up with growth.
Yeah.
Growth. Because I think 2024, well, I know, was very foundational.
Yeah.
From an episode perspective, from like technical perspective, from the platforms we're on, like really like laying all the groundwork. And now that we have a lot of that, that we can just now say, great.
Right.
How do we go from where we are, which is pretty decent and we are enjoying it and loving it, to growing that?
Yeah.
And what does that growth look like?
Yeah. And I think too, like, we had a year of just trying to figure out what we were even doing.
Yes.
Like I haven't listened back to our first few episodes, but I want to go back and listen.
Yeah. We should.
Because they might be a little cringy, but like figuring out the flow of how we wanted it to work, even with like how often we wanted to have guests on. Because we realized when we had back to back guests, we kind of lost, like, we were like, wait, our whole fun, like, foundation is the two of us.
Right.
So guests should just be added bonus, not like like we're not a talk show.
Right.
Although
this one's a little bit talky, and we would be okay with that
idea. Anyway.
Yes.
So I think, so growing this year, and now we can talk about PodFest.
Yeah.
So that's our first thing this year. We kept saying we need to do more like events and like figuring out things, not because we're just trying to figure things out by ourselves or with the knowledge that we already have or the sources we already have. And so I don't even remember when we saw it. I guess it came across our social feed. It
must have been.
And I was like, look, it's in Orlando. Like, it's not even that far. Let's just go.
Yeah.
So we're going,
and we're going to have our stickers, and we're going to have outfits.
We have our outfits.
It's going to be great.
And I hope that I hope it's worth our time.
Yeah.
And I hope we don't get there. Now, granted, it's going to be worth our time regardless, because we're going to have time away to focus, and we don't have like the next thing in our calendar we have to rush to.
Correct.
That's our whole.
So that alone is great.
So that alone by itself.
But we could do that without PodFest, but this is like a catalyst.
Right. And we'll be out of our house, away from distractions.
But I'm saying, like, we could go to a hotel if we wanted. That sounded really strange. But if we wanted to, we can go. We could get out of our homes.
We could.
But podcast is like, it's like, oh, that's a thing and a reason.
And hopefully, I'm hoping we can learn some stuff. Have you looked at the calendar yet? Like the schedule? I have not.
I skimmed it. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's all these different sessions you can go to. Obviously, like, I would say our number one thing there yes, of course we want to like learn things, but we're already decent at knowing how to do the podcast stuff. Like, I mean,
hello, we did not even turn the mic on right.
That's another story. But that, I don't think any PodFest can help us with that.
No,
though.
they did have some like technical stuff.
Okay.
Which honestly, I should go to because
no, I would love to. I would love to too. I'm not saying we can't use help in those areas. I just mean like more than anything, I'm excited about networking, getting our name to people, meeting other people, finding people to follow,
and seeing what's worked for other people too.
Exactly.
And the good thing is Katie and I are quite social, except it was so funny when we went to 90s Fest. She was like, you go talk to those people. What did you say?
I don't remember
you said
this.
People, you're like, you go talk to those people because I think they'll like you better.
I said,
it was just certain people.
It was something like, people like you and people don't like me. And she was like,
true, though.
That's not true. And
it was just like, for certain people. And now I can't remember who it was.
Other ladies, maybe? I don't know.
It was fun. I was like, just those people.
And then eventually we just stood by the porta potties and just caught everybody coming out, men, women, children,
it's
dogs.
Be fine.
Didn't matter.
It'll be a good time. And so hope that's our first thing for growth.
Yes, so that was growth. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
And then we were just talking before this started because we did forget to plug in the mics, but caught it just in time. Thank you, Dani.
You're welcome.
A checklist, an episode checklist, but also just
we do need that,
like a recording checklist, but also like a checklist, like where's all the places everything's going to go every time we go live. What do we need to go back and do, stuff like that, like even clips and things like that.
And if you want to help us grow, listeners, send our link to as many people as you can think of that would like us. If they wouldn't like us, don't send it because we don't need hate in the new year.
No. Only people that you think would enjoy us.
Yes.
And even also, if it's just one topic you think they'd like.
Also send us episode ideas too. We still have that link on our website.
We do.
For episode suggestions. We have tons in the works.
We do.
Which, by the way, we're gonna start start up again our Dawson's Creek rewatch. But guys, it's leaving Amazon Prime in 13 days.
I can't believe it.
What the hell?
So then I was like, should I just binge it? But the thing is, I like watching one at a time and then talking about it because then I'll blur them all together. So I don't really know. We'll have to come up with a plan for that.
Where's it going?
It's got to be going somewhere.
Something I don't have. That's where it's going to go.
Do you think it would go on Disney Plus?
Do they own Dawson?
Do they own CW? They might.
I don't know. This is a really boring conversation. We've lost 5 people. Let's get back.
Okay,
we're just staring at each other.
Okay,
let's go back. So that's our word for the podcast. What is your word for yourself?
Yes. Okay, great.
Oh, you already said?
No, I didn't. Not yet. Actually, my word is a little different than the thing that I said about 2024. My word is breakthrough.
Ooh, okay.
So that has to do with the podcast, of course. But I have so many projects that are just ready to like go to the next level.
Got it.
And that includes performing arts studios, that includes writing projects that I've had going on for several years, some of them that are like ready for the next thing. And what I mean by that is like it doesn't even have to be, millions of listeners or whatever, although I am holding a mug that says future best-selling author. I am manifesting, everyone. But just that it's kind of like elevating to the next thing, and myself as a performer too, which is going to be hard to do if I'm not auditioning, but I got a whole year. I can do it later. Okay. That like I can kind of like elevate up to whatever that next thing is for me. And I think because of all the foundational work I've been doing really the last 5 or 6 years, but certainly like the last year and a half, I'm ready for that. So that's mine. What's yours?
Breakthrough. That's good. Mine has been my word before.
Yay.
But it's still something I need to work on. And it started off as intention, but then I changed it to intentional because that I struggle sometimes. I try hard to be intentional with things I do, but sometimes I'm not. I'm good in some areas, and some areas I'm terrible. I'm not very good with intentional words. On a day-to-day. Like I am impatient in my house. Like, and that's usually because I have 100 things going on in my brain. And I'm multitasking, which is a problem because then nothing gets done 100% when you're multitasking. Yes. And I'm like a chronic multitasker because I have attention problems. So I'm going to work really hard this year on being intentional in things I say, in relationships, because sometimes that falls to the wayside, especially with performing.
Yeah.
You know, like I have to be intentional about the time I do have, like you were saying with your family. I need to make sure that when I am there, I'm like not just catching up on life, that I'm also giving them time, just time, you know,
Right.
as well. And that also goes like in other areas, that also goes with, you know, with performing stuff, like making sure I'm intentional on picking shows to audition for that I really want to commit to, which I think I'm pretty good about that right now. Like I don't do back-to-back shows, and because it is a huge time suck.
Yeah, you usually
I
tend
think
to
I'm okay
just
with
pick
that.
the ones, but to keep doing that.
Yeah, I want
Yeah.
to keep doing that, but also like I want to be more intentional too about what I'm putting into my body, not just food. I'm pretty okay with that. I mean, the holidays threw me, but that's everyone. Um, but also like other things I'm doing for my body, like I need to be more intentional that I am 44 and um there are things I don't need to keep pushing myself to do, and I need to make sure I spend more time doing other things. Like it's way more important for me to be spending more time with strength training and mobility than it is for me to push out crazy cardio workouts every day, you know? Um, so just anyway, intentional is my word. Again, podcast stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly it's just the day to day, like not just hurrying up and getting through tasks, but being intentional. And like my phone is a suck for me sometimes. We all do it.
We do.
And Katie knows it's one of my pet peeves when people are just sitting around and they automatically take their phone out. I hate it so much, but I do it too. Like I'm good about it sometimes, and sometimes I'm shitty about it. So
yeah,
it needs to be like, okay, I am intentionally going to sit here and scroll my social media for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to be done. Like,
right.
and then I am intentionally saying this is the start and the finish. I'm not just mindlessly, because I am sitting somewhere for whatever amount of time. I really hate it when people are in line at the grocery store and do this, scroll on their phones. Like, literally, you're not in the line at the grocery store for longer than a few minutes, guys. Insta can wait. Like, it's just like,
but can it?
It can. And I get it. Like, we're like, oh, but I have 5 seconds. I need to fill that 5 seconds with whatever.
Correct.
You don't. And I feel like, especially as creative people, we lose a lot of our creativity when we don't have that, I don't want to say dead space, but just freedom to just think.
Well, that's what they say. Like being bored is good for you.
It is. And I notice that with kids really much these days. And I actually had a chat with my youngest about it yesterday, because I was like, you know, I know that you're tired when you're coming from school. Like, he's not in any sports or anything right now. He's not in a show or anything. I was like, but you can't just come home and be on your phone and a TV like the rest of the day. You need to have something else to do, like without a screen.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense. Even with phones, like an example of that, like last night, like obviously because I'm doing so many jobs at all the time, sometimes I am like checking this or that while I'm doing other things. But I'm trying to get better about that too. And even like last night, like I set my alarms. I sent one text to my friend who I was meeting in the morning, like just confirming. And then I was kind of sitting in bed, and my husband and I were watching something. A commercial came on. I went to reach for my phone, and I actually was stopped myself. And I was like, I don't need
to
anything.
fill the space.
I can just like talk to him, or
just
go use the restroom,
there.
or literally just sit here and watch the commercial, or don't watch it, space out, you know. But really, like trying to decide what we're doing. And I think that that's important, like you said, not just for phones is a big one, but business stuff. Like I've been sitting down trying to figure out, what is this going to look like, all these different places. And then the podcast too, I think we do a great job, but we keep saying like we want to be more intentional in like, you know, there were because we record, we've made that commitment to record every week, just about. And there's times we haven't, not many, but there's times that it hasn't happened, and that's okay, because we do this volunteer, and that's going to happen sometimes. But our intention is to do that. And so really sitting down and saying, like you said about the guest, like how often do we have a guest, and if so, what are we talking about? What are we talking about the next 8 weeks instead of the next 2 weeks, you know, like as much as we can. And those things tend to shift as well, but just putting the thought ahead instead of, my big thing too, and I've always said this, I wake up very early, partially to get work done, but I've always said I have to wake up for the rest of my house for that reason. Because if I wake up and life is already happening, it can be literally one kid eating a bowl of cereal. My day feels out of control to me. it feels like everything has started and I haven't had time to like decide what this day is going to be for me. And so I get up early to be alone, even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes, and look at that schedule and let it soak in and say, oh, okay, like I can send an email now and I don't need to get back on my computer till 9:30 and I can make breakfast and talk to the kids and whatever. But if I wake up and I haven't done that or had that moment, then for me, it feels out of control. And I think like in general in life, it's the same thing. When we don't have intention, when we don't have that pause to decide whatever the thing is, like decide, oh, I am just going to stand here in the grocery store line and just take a breath.
Yeah.
That's a decision. When you're not getting on your phone, it's a small decision, but we make them all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a great word.
Yeah. I think that pause is smart because I'm very reactionary sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like I think I said this when my sister was here, like you don't have to react to everything. Mm-hmm. But I am a very reactionary person, especially in parenting or like relationships. Like I will just react and then regret it or be like, shit, I should have like just sat for a second. Mm-hmm. Or like instead of instinctually just saying no or yes, saying, let me think about it. Or let's talk about it some more later when like, especially because my kids will ask me stuff when I'm like distracted.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I instead of just saying no or yes out of just because I'm trying to get something done. And they do that on purpose.
Sure. Kids know.
Sometimes, but
sometimes not.
Sometimes they just want to know. And now I'm trying to be like, no, like, give me a second. Let's talk about it in a few minutes. Let me finish this and then we'll chat. Like I can't.
I've gotten better at that too.
Yeah, it's hard.
And even saying like, it's not you. I just have to finish this thing. Like if you can just be patient, I will follow up with you in a couple minutes or whatever. Instead of trying and with my spouse too.
Yeah.
You know, like and my husband's gotten to the point where he'll be like, I'm gonna wait till you're done like on your phone. You know, and then I used to get defensive. I'd be like, well, I'm writing back the so-and-so who's going to pick up Tegan. He's like, I'm not mad.
It doesn't matter.
Do that. And then I'm going to tell you the thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so
because you can't fully pay attention if you're on your phone.
And you know, he's like, she's going to forget.
Right.
Or she's not listening.
Right.
And that's okay. Like for him to notice and be like, you know what? I interrupted you in the middle of that thing. I'm just going to wait. But I am waiting here to tell you the thing. So maybe like don't text the next person.
So maybe don't keep going
till you like talk to me, you know, and that's okay too. So I love that. I love the conglomeration of all the words because I feel like between growth has to be intentional, but then breakthrough sometimes can be, it's not that it's unexpected, but sometimes it does feel like bigger than the actions you're doing. But then when you go backward on your actions, you're like, actually, no, this all adds up. And so because there was the intentionality and the baby steps and the growth and the dry spells and the whatever to get to that point, you know? And so I think all of our words kind of go together really well.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to grow. And listeners, if you have a word, a resolution, a goal, if you are like, I love my life, I am perfect, everything is great, maybe not even perfect, but you're just happy and you're not changing a thing, we would love to hear about that too, because that's awesome. Yeah. That's like a great place to be. Go you. Reach out to us. Let us know what your plans are for 2025.
We're going to be back next time with our regular episodes about weird stuff. So
yes, don't
80s
worry.
and 90s, we'll be back at you. Mm-hmm. We are going to record a Dawson's. So get ready for that extra nostalgic or problematic as long as we can while Dawson's is still around on the
It might be like 3 episodes, but whatever. No, we'll find it. We'll find it. We'll make it happen.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So thanks again, guys, for listening. Make sure you are following us on social. We are on TikTok.
Are we?
Instagram. We are technically there.
Trying.
But that will growth.
I know.
There'll be more there.
We're getting there.
And then we are also on YouTube where you can watch us. You can subscribe. I think we are up to 16 subscribers.
And Lord help you for watching us. Thanks, guys.
If we could double in 2025,
then we got to start getting our life together. When we are on here, I can't look like this.
I don't think people care. Have you watched YouTube videos?
No, I don't.
Most people look like this.
I don't do.
I love how I said, have you watched
like
YouTube?
Yes.
Bless your heart.
I have. I don't watch YouTube. The only time I like go on YouTube is if somebody sends me something, or if I'm trying to find some kind of alternate modification for exercise for a client.
Oh yeah,
because you can find people, anything. But I hate, like, my kids will watch YouTube shorts all the time, and it annoys me. It's too much. Like,
it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's so quick.
I don't. Especially. That's why I don't like TikTok either.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I'm old,
but
guys,
listeners,
and I don't care.
We know a lot of you do. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen.
That's just my old brain.
No, not at all. Not at all. But so yes, stick around for Dawson's Creek if you want, and if not, we'll see you on our next regular episode or over on Patreon.
Woohoo!
And happy 2025, guys.
Yes, happy New Year.
Happy New Year.